So tell me first of all your name and where you are from.
My name is Jorge Romero and I came from Chile.
And where are you studying right now?
I'm studying in the University of Manchester, my third year of PhD in volcanology.
Perfect, okay. Jorge, you've just spent the last 20 days in La Palma working on the eruption. How was it?
It was a lifetime experience, I will say. It is incredible to see a volcano erupting. Moreover, this is not a common volcano, it's a cone that is still forming, is being built in a few days. So it's a different type of eruption. And at the same time, it is impacting because of its widespread effects on the communities, on the cities, and the lava flow is affecting a lot of people. So it has two phases.
Yes.
At the same time.
Yes, I think that's what's affected lots of people working there, living there. Yeah. You know, it's that dichotomy. And what work specifically were you doing while you were there?
I was trying to help the group of InVolcam people. They are monitoring the volcanic eruption, so I was working in the ashfall quantification, mapping, but also the recording of the cone growth and evolution over this time scale. So it has been very, very interesting to see how it grows.
Because it's changed quite a lot, hasn't it?
Yeah, it is changing because it is growing, and at the same time it is destroying itself throughout a lot of sector collapses. So yeah, it is evolving fastly.
And is that what you would have expected of a volcano of this nature, or has it caught us all by surprise?
I think it is expected for this kind of eruptions, but at the same time I have witnessed a lot of different eruptive styles. It's almost like a volcanology course in the field, so you are able to see all the behavior of the volcanic eruption in different moments with different craters and vents. So yeah, it's surprising at that point.
And the amount of lava that has been erupted already after a month is extraordinary.
It is extraordinary. It is about 0.1 cubic kilometers. So it's a lot of lava, and it is in a populated area, so it's much clearer the impact it has.
Yes. And there's a few points that people have been raising with us. First of all, people didn't understand why we were on a yellow alert when it entered an eruption. I think that caused issues for people not being able to spend long enough in their homes to take stuff out. For example, they only had 15 minutes, whereas if maybe it would have been on orange alert, they'd have had more things ready, they'd have been more prepared. Has that been something that you've heard as well and spoken about whilst you were there?
Well, I don't know really well, but at some point I think this will be a major part of the history and evolution of the volcanic eruption. So this is not the exact moment to understand this aspect, but it will be necessary to assess the decision and the interplay between scientists and decision makers in this case, because it is well known that this volcanic eruption was preceded by a series of earthquakes, a series of changes in the geochemistry of gas and amount of gas release almost years before the eruption. So it is not surprising to have an eruption right now, and the signals were pretty clear. And at some point, someone is taking the decisions beyond the scientific teams.
Yes, the scientists, as I understand it, presented their findings, but the final decision isn't the scientist's decision, and whoever did take that decision will have to justify at some point when the time comes why that was the case. But certainly from the outside, what we saw was the head of IGN going on television and saying, we are going to have an eruption, and all of us here were sitting saying, so, and it just didn't. So that is certainly something that needs looking at. But the problem is that people will say it's the scientists who got it wrong, and that's not the case. I mean,
that's not the case. And this type of eruption was, I will say, the book example of how an eruption starts to prepare, and it was prepared many years ago, and right now you just had the final signals of the precursory activity, but it was pretty clear. So I think at some point it is difficult to believe in the scientific message, because nobody knows how it will evolve when the eruptions begins, and it is almost like a film eruption, so like a movie. And for sure, I'm quite sure that scientists did a nice job, but the message was not believed by who was taking the decision.
The ultimate decision maker. Yeah. There's also other issues that I think we'll have to consider, and this is something we'll follow through on in later work that we're doing in La Palma. There was a lot of monitoring of the volcano, but how much actual preparation for an eruption had been done, and how ready were we for an eruption? Is that something that you were witness to?
I think this example of the eruption in Cumbre Vieja shows how far volcanic monitoring may reach. It is incredible the amount of data the scientists had in terms of geochemistry, geodesy, geophysics in general. So, but what happened during the crisis is a different thing, and not only the people affected has to live with this situation, also the scientists. So I think there is not preparation in any side of the world to live a crisis like this, and but certainly there are things to do in terms of preparation for sampling, for attending the crisis in all these aspects.
Of course, and in no way are we saying that it's exceptional here, or are we causing, but it's useful to take examples from here so that we move on better and we're better prepared. So, for example, institutions that are very prepared for monitoring perhaps are not very well prepared for frontline sampling, where you require different types of kit. If you're working in an environment where there isn't good collaboration, perhaps that makes things difficult. So there's lessons to learn, are there not? What do you think could have been done, or we should be thinking of in future to do better?
So in terms of improvements, I think the scientists need more accessibility to laboratory facilities. They need rapid analysis of samples. Also, they need a network for flying over the volcano, collaboration from other institutions that may provide different facilities that they may need during the crisis. So in this case, it has been successful, I think, but it is one example, and new eruptions may be more challenging in these aspects, so more effort is needed in terms of collaboration. However, Involcan has done a great job in terms of collaborating with other institutions overseas. So that's an incredible work they have done in terms of contacting people and creating this network to assess the eruption as fast as possible.
Okay, because they didn't have the capacity, presumably,
Yeah.
to do it all themselves.
Yeah, they
Okay.
were overwhelmed, and that's something that we can expect in this kind of eruptions.
Yeah, no, of course. And it comes back to the fact that we were all surprised by the size and the speed of it happening, and the number of people affected very quickly as well. But give us an idea of what science can achieve during an eruption. You're very clear that the signals were there scientifically in advance of the eruption, and questions remain as to whether that science was taken fully into account in terms of the traffic light system. But give us an idea of what we can hope to achieve actually on the ground, because from our understanding, gas sampling, for example, is quite time consuming, so maybe it doesn't give you real-time data. So what can we achieve at the time? What's the role of science at the time to help?
At the time of the eruption, I think the monitoring of the volcanic plume in terms of the gas release or the ashfall amount or the lava flow rates are key in terms of assessing the impacts of the eruption, but at the same time the evolution of the eruption in time series. So at some point you can be able to predict how long it will take to expect the end of the eruption. So that's a key point, and I think that's the way volcanologists work in this type of cases.
So what indicators are they looking for to be able to anticipate an end to this eruption?
In this case particularly, I think there must be a decrease in the seismicity, both the shallow and deep seismicity, decrease in the magnitude of earthquakes, also a decrease in the gas release in terms of kilograms per second at background levels, and also the cessation of the activity in surface, the manifestations of the volcano, as the explosivity or the lava flow release have to start ending at some point, and together all those elements will clearly indicate the end of the eruption. But that's not the case at this point, I think.
1 month in, there's no indication of that.
No, there's no indication.
And again, another thing that's been said to us from various people is that they have the sensation that there's a lot of scientists running around, but they're not very clear on whether they're working together, what value, in terms of looking for the end of the eruption, yes, but what value is there in the science that they're doing if they're not all working coherently? Are they all just trying to get their papers published and secure future funding, or
Yeah, I think in this case, most of the people working in Volcan and coming from other countries is developing a very specific work in the field. So the idea, right?